evening settles and the day grows still, stories rise softly from memory's hill. These are the letters we carry inside, stories of love, loss, and pride. Welcome, my friend, to Porchlight Letters.
Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Waikanae Beach in New Zealand. Hope you're all having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2414. And today we are answering the question, how do I balance facts and emotions? But first, what did you think of our introduction song as we came on? We're just playing with things. Yesterday I had a very creative time with music yesterday. It was awesome. In fact, not just yesterday, but the day before. So the last 2 days, let's see, what day am I on? I'm on Thursday. Yeah, so Tuesday and Wednesday I've had very, very creative times with music, getting in there, writing some songs, and we thought it was time. I've been talking about doing a theme song for the podcast since I started it 6.5 years ago. So it only took me 6.5 years to come up with one, but that was our intro, and let's stay at the end because there is an outro song as well as we leave. So stay for that at the end as well. So today we are talking, let us know what your thoughts are about these. Let us know in the comments whether you liked the song, didn't like the song. We're still working on the whole thing. We may put a slide up here so you're not sitting watching me nod my head and sway away and all that sort of stuff, or attempting to sing. I know my vocal cords took a beating with that coughing stuff that I had when I first arrived in New Zealand, and they haven't got back to what they used to be. So yes, it's very fun trying to sing along with songs these days. But yeah, anyway, let us know what you think. We're still playing around with it, and we may have, instead of sitting me here, we might just use the Porchlight Letters podcast logo up there, wherever it is, up there, and use that to be on the screen for us. I don't know. We're going to play around with it. But anyway, on to today's topic, which is how do I balance facts and emotion? Facts builds credibility, while emotion creates connection. So yes, you do have to balance these. So facts anchor the story in reality. Records provide verifiable information about dates, places, and events. We're always talking about this, about our vital records, births, deaths, and marriages, newspaper articles for other additional information as well. These details prevent storytelling from drifting into fiction. Facts establish trust with readers. Now, Mark Twain, if you've been watching for a while, you know I like Mark Twain's quote of, truth is always stranger than fiction. That's why fiction has to make sense. Because there are some stories that you will come across in genealogy that you will sit there and go, what the heck? And I'm like, no, that's not possible. When it completely is possible, because your brain can't comprehend it, because it's totally strange. It's the truth, and it's stranger than fiction. So emotional brings the human experience forward. Readers connect more deeply when they understand how events might have felt. So this is why we talk about going and walking in the footsteps of your ancestors, visiting places they lived, visiting places they worked, visiting places they may have fought in battle, just to get an idea and it does help ground you and give you an inkling into what their life was like. Talking with a local historian of the area as well that can tell you the history, tell you what life was like, just to give you that deeper connection with your ancestors. Emotion brings the human experience forward. Readers connect more deeply when we understand how events might have felt. This is why it's important to talk with local historians or in places where your ancestors lived. Describing hardship during migration or excitement during opportunity adds life to the narrative. Emotion turns information into experience. Yes. Context helps bridge fact and feeling. Historical contents allow writers to explore emotion responsibly, understanding economic conditions, social expectations, or community dynamics help explain behavior. When you can take yourself from the modern day and place yourself in your mind in the era that your ancestors lived, you've got a much better chance of understanding. So context protects accuracy while allowing empathy. So when you take away all the modern conveniences like computers and cell phones and everything else, and go back to the days where they didn't have electricity. That they may have lived in a huge mansion. They may have had a stable out the back with 12 horses in it. They may have had these beautiful carriages. They may have lived in the poor part of town where rats were like pets. Not really, but you just had to deal with them. And lived in, living off scraps and things like that, or living at the other end of the scale where the food is plentiful. What was their life like? And this is why it is so important to learn as much as you can about the history of the area, and specifically targeting on the time that your ancestors were living there. So talking to a local historian, what would life have been like? This is the address that they were at. What side of town was it on? Was it on the rich side or the poor side or somewhere in between? So finding out those things can help you pull that context in. Avoid exaggerating emotional interpretation. While emotion enriches storytelling, it must remain grounded. Over-dramatizing event risks distorting history. Balance keeps the narrative authentic. So we want that narrative to be authentic. We want to get across how it was that they lived it during that time. So don't exaggerate. Just take what the historian told you and repeat it back to everybody else. Record it if you can. Stories should invite empathy rather than judgment. Family history often includes difficult decisions. Presenting those decisions within context encourages understanding rather than criticism. Empathy helps readers appreciate the complexity of the past. So get in there, learn about the family history. Where did they live? What was it like? What were they? And especially when you're talking with a local historian and you give them an address, this is where my ancestors came from. They can look up the records and stuff, and even add some more stuff, more details to your research, but also give you a glimpse into a glimpse into what life was like for your ancestors back then, based on the address, what was going on at the time, which side of the tracks they were on, that sort of thing. Why all this matters is because balanced storytelling honors both truth and humanity. Your practical takeaway for today is use evidence to guide emotion rather than replace it. Want help crafting balanced family stories? Send us a private message and we can set you up with a 30-minute discovery call. And in closing today, when facts and empathy work together, stories resonate. Oops. Hang on. That's it from us for today. So go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konera.
The stories we carry stay bright through the night. A small steady glow in the fading light. Stories of love, loss, and pride we share. Until we meet again, keep the porch light burning.